It sounds like Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to miss one last chance to inflict some misery on the Chicago Bears. Rodgers left the Steelers' Week 11 game with a left wrist injury. X-rays showed the four-time MVP suffered a fracture in the non-throwing wrist, and he didn't return, a game Pittsburgh cruised to an easy win over Cincinnati. Early reports indicated that while Rodgers was going to try to make a quick return, the most likely scenario was that he'd miss at least a game. However, NFL media's Ian Rappaport reported on November 17th that Rodgers wants to play in Week 12 against the Bears, and it's a 50-50 proposition he's under center for Pittsburgh. According to Rappaport, Rodgers will have tests to determine the severity of the injury before a decision is made. He's going to have tests Monday morning just to determine how long he's going to miss with his injured wrist, if he's going to miss time, Rappaport said on Good Morning Football on November 17th. To my understanding, he has told people close to him that he'll be back very soon. He has told more people close to him that he does not want to miss a game. Aaron Rodgers' wrist injury might not keep him out of Bears' game. Just because Rodgers doesn't want to miss a game doesn't mean he won't be out there in Week 12 at Soldier Field in Chicago. Ultimately, the doctors might keep him out of the game, especially considering the Steelers will need him for actual divisional games as they make their playoff push. From @GMFB, #Steelers QB Aaron Rodgers, dealing with a fracture in his left wrist, has not been ruled out for Sunday and is pushing to play. Plus, the NFL will review the Jalen Ramsey-Jamar Chase punching/alleged spitting incident. That being said, it could also come down to a pain management issue, in which case Rodgers might be able to make it work if there's no major risk of making the injury worse. If he's able to grip, if he's able to receive the ball on the snap, it is actually possible Rodgers could play this week, Rappaport added. I had someone told me he's essentially 50-50 to play this week. So it sounds bad, but Aaron Rodgers does want to play and is trying to see how he can do it for the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers likely motivated to play versus Bears. Rodgers would likely be motivated regardless of the opponent, but knowing he'll have a chance to tangle with the first-place Bears one more time in his Hall of Fame career is quite the carrot. The former Packers quarterback has a 24-5 career record against his former NFC North rival. And even after Rodgers' historic Packers run came to an end with his trade to the Jets in 2023, he not so quietly rooted against his rival from afar. The Packers games are the Super Bowl for the Bears just about every because they haven't been to the playoffs for so long, Rodgers said on Pat McAfee's show in 2024, per CBS Sports. We've won. Packers head coach, Matt LaFleur, has never lost to them, so 9 in a row. The Packers lost to the Bears in Week 18 last season, but the point largely remains. Rodgers added, "Is it a rivalry anymore? If they can't beat us, is it a rivalry?" Every coach that gets hired in Chicago, his first goal is to beat Green Bay. So yeah, if there's any chance Rodgers can be on the field for the Steelers in Chicago on Sunday, it's probably going to happen. The Pittsburgh Steelers improved to 6-4 this week, defeating the Cincinnati Bengals 34-12. The defense rightfully deserves much of the praise, allowing just 297 yards and scoring 2 touchdowns. The offense was nothing to write home about overall, but they made the plays needed to help take the pressure off the defense. Backup running back Kenneth Gainwell had a huge day as a receiver, with 7 receptions for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. But no player on the offense had as big an impact as big-bodied tight end Darnell Washington. Washington set a new career high with 67 yards on 4 receptions against the Bengals. That stat line doesn't look like anything special on the surface, but it was a truly dominant overall performance. Darnell Washington has his breakout game for Pittsburgh Steelers against Bengals. Washington is somewhat of a unicorn in the modern NFL. He is a true do-it-all tight end, with the size to be a dominant blocker and the hands and speed to be a weapon as a receiver. The blocking part of his game has been well utilized throughout his career, but getting him going in the passing game has been a tougher challenge. He managed just 26 receptions for 261 yards and a single touchdown over his first 2 seasons, never eclipsing even 50 yards in a game. Thanks to added emphasis from quarterback Aaron Rodgers to get in the ball, he already has 2 games with over 60 yards through 10 games this season. He could easily double his career receiving numbers by season's end, and it's fair to wonder if he could have been used more frequently before the season. Washington is not a typical receiving tight end, however, as he is reportedly over 300 pounds at this point. He looks more like a left tackle than a traditional tight end, and his size causes him to lack the fluidity and quickness that the game's top receiving threats possess. That makes him a bit of a niche weapon, best utilized on jump balls and run-after-catch situations. His explosive catch and run against the Bengals demonstrated his unique talents. Pittsburgh Steelers defensive back Jalen Ramsey and Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase are two of the best at their respective positions. So it's no surprise the two were matched up against one another in Sunday's Week 1 matchup, a game the Steelers won 34-12. The head-to-head battle was entertaining while it lasted, but it was cut short when Ramsey was ejected early in the fourth quarter for throwing a punch at Chase. He clarified to reporters after the game that he got physical with the Bengals' Pro Bowl wideout because he spit on him, accusations that Chase vehemently denied. "He spit on me, so I don't give AI expletive about football after that," respectfully Ramsey stated, via Brendan Howe of Steelers Now. "I ain't never opened my mouth to that guy," Chase said, via consistency's Mike Petraglia. "He don't like some of the words that I told him. We've been going back and forth for some time, so I'm sure something go under his skin." CBS Sports' Jonathan Jones reported that the NFL will investigate the incident and get to the bottom of what happened, which could result in a suspension for Chase if he's found to have lied about spitting on Ramsey, which video from Fox 19's Austin Brisky shows he did. "The NFL will look into this," Jones wrote on X. "They have set a precedent that they will suspend a player for a game if he spits on someone." This isn't the first incident the league has seen this season of one player spitting on another. Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter was fined $57,222 and hit with a one-game suspension for spitting on Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott back in Week 1. Carter didn't miss any time, however, as he was ejected on the first play of the game, and the NFL deemed his missing the final 59 minutes and change of that game counted as him serving his suspension. Based on Carter's punishment, Chase can likely expect a hefty fine of more than $50,000 and to miss Cincinnati's Week 12 game against the New England Patriots next Sunday.